Hi everybody, this video goes over discounted cash flow modeling or DCF modeling. This is a method that's commonly used by investment bankers and also investment analysts when they're trying to value a company. Basically, all a DCF is, it's a method to value a company based on the future cash flows that that company is going to generate. Now, there's a handful of steps you need to go through when you do this. Don't worry, I'm going to make this straightforward and easy for you. First of all, you got to forecast free cash flow for each year. Now, there's a horizon period. Typically, it's either 5 or 10 years. For more stable firms, 5 years. For firms that are in a high growth phase, you might want to go out about 10 years. You also are going to estimate the weighted average cost of capital for the firm. This is going to be the discount rate. Also, you're going to, at the end of the period, see the thing is that a firm is going to last forever in theory, so you can't really forecast cash flows forever, so you got to calculate what's called a terminal value after a certain cutoff period, and that's that 5 or 10-year period that we talk about in step 1. Once you get all that, you're going to discount the free cash flow and the terminal value back to the present value. You're going to sum all this up, and then that will give you what's called the enterprise value. And then once you get the enterprise value, you're going to subtract out the net debt of the company. And you will also subtract out something called non-controlling interest. We're not going to cover that today, but larger firms will have what's called a non-controlling interest. It's usually a small amount, not completely relevant for a lot of firms, but for larger firms it is. We won't address that today. And then the last step is you will divide your value by shares outstanding, and that will give you an estimated price of the stock, which you believe the intrinsic value of the company is, which you can then compare to an actual stock price trading in the marketplace. So, couple things. Number one, we have to figure out what's this free cash flow calculation. Well, free cash flow is the cash flow that is available to be returned to the financiers of the company. That includes the debt holders and the equity holders. So it's the free cash flow, the unencumbered cash flow that's available to be distributed, because that's what people care about. They don't care about earnings, they care about free cash flow. That's how you value a firm. So the way we're going to do this is it's really EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes, times 1 minus the tax rate. You're going to add in depreciation and amortization. These are non-cash expenses. So the reason you're adding these in is because they're taken out of EBIT. EBIT is lowered by depreciation and amortization, but these are expenses where we didn't really have to write a check for. So we're going to add those back in to get the proxy for cash. Then we're going to subtract out the change in working capital. This is short-term assets minus short-term liabilities, the change in that, net of cash and short-term debt. So these are non-operating assets and liabilities. We're not going to include those in this calculation. And when I say minus the change, so when working capital is going up, that's considered a net investment in the firm. So minus an increase, that's going to reduce my cash flow. If working capital goes down over the course of a year, then I'm going to subtract a negative number. That's actually an increase in cash. Okay, so it's minus the change in working capital, and then also minus capital expenditures. So if I think about all what's happening here, I'm taking the after-tax operating income, I'm adding back in non-cash expenses, and then I'm subtracting change in net investments in my firm. All right, change in net investments. So that includes short-term investments and long-term investments like CapEx, adjusted for depreciation and amortization. All right, and the last thing is on this before we get into the modeling is the terminal value calculation is simply going to be the free cash flow, and that's the free cash flow that exists in the final year of our horizon. We multiply that by 1 plus this perpetual growth rate, and that's thought of as something that's going to be a low number, kind of mimics maybe nominal GDP or something of that sort, divided by weighted average cost of capital minus that growth rate. So R minus G, R being the weighted average cost of capital. You'll see that when we get to the modeling in our Google Sheet or our Excel sheet. So here's the Google Sheet. You can find this in this link in the comments of this video, so it's available for you, and you can just open it and download it so you can work on it directly yourself. So we're going to fill in all the stuff in the blue here. And so if we just kind of take a look at the structure of this spreadsheet, we're going to end up with this estimated share price down here. So that's going to be the punchline. So let's go through all this. We talked earlier about how to get free cash flow. Well, what I've got here is I've got some forecasted EBIT numbers. We're here today in 2025. I've got forecasted depreciation, CapEx, and working capital. I have skipped how to forecast all that stuff for brevity, okay? I will have another video that goes through how to get these numbers as well. But we're going to assume they're just given to us at this point, okay? And so to get free cash flow here, first I need to get the after-tax EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes. So that's also called your operating income. So I'm going to take this number here, and I'm going to multiply it by 1 minus the tax rate. The tax rate is shown over here. We're going to assume for this video it's 25%. We're always going to use 25%, so I'm going to highlight that and I'll lock that number down. Sorry, I'll do that real quick. Highlight that and hit FN F4. Now, if you're on a laptop, you hit FN F4. If you're on a station PC or station computer, you just hit F4. You hit enter, and then there you go, your after-tax EBIT that year. And then we can drag this across so we have all 5 years. Okay, so this year you can see it's still referencing that same tax rate in cell J5, 25%. So now the free cash flow, if you recall that formula, is going to be EBIT times 1 minus the tax rate, so that number, plus depreciation, minus CapEx, minus the change in working capital. And you can see the change in working capital for all these years is a positive number. That means working capital is constantly getting higher. And that is an assumption that I'm using for this problem. Okay, so now I've got this number here. Okay, B5 plus B6 minus B7 minus B8, and I'm just going to drag that across. So these are my horizon cash flows. Okay, I'm doing a 5-year horizon. The terminal value, recall that formula. Okay, that's going to be, take this final year free cash flow, and I'm going to multiply that number by 1 plus the growth rate. The terminal growth rate, this is the G, this is the 2%. Okay, and I'm going to divide that by R minus G. Okay, the weighted average cost of capital, and in this case I'm just assuming a 7% number. Okay, for a lot of firms it's going to be higher than that. This is kind of a steady firm, so we're going to leave it at 7% minus the terminal growth rate, G, close paren. Oops, I messed that up. My apologies. Get rid of that X. Okay. Now, 9 million. So you can see a big percentage of the value of this firm is going to be that terminal value, which is 5 years from now. Now I want to create a discount factor. This is just a factor that I can multiply these cash flows by in order to get present value. So for that, I'm going to click on that blue box, and really these are just the present values of dollars in the future. So $1, 1 divided by 1 plus the weighted average cost of capital. That's my discount rate. And then I'm going to close paren, and I'm going to raise that to the first power. Okay, and you'll see in a second why I'm raising it and linking it there. But I'm going to lock down this J3 number because I'm always referencing that. Okay, so that's my F4. Okay, now I'm going to hit enter. I get 0.9346. So the present value of $1 to be received a year from today is 0.9346, 93 cents and 46. Okay, and I'm just going to drag this across all the way to here. Now you can see, let's grab this cell here. 5 years from now, it's still referencing that J3, still referencing that cost of capital, but it's now referencing F2. It's raising it to the 5th power. So you can see this is a little shortcut that I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here. These are the kind of shortcuts that investment bankers do all the time in order to make their life easier and to make the analysis faster. So now I'm going to discount all these free cash flows, and that's pretty easy. Now I just take the free cash flow and I multiply it by the discount factor. I hit enter, and I'm going to drag that across. Okay, so 281 is the present value of 300,750 to be received a year from today, discounted at 7%. So I drag that across. Okay, and now I need to do my discounted terminal value, and so that's simply going to be this terminal value right here, 9 million number, multiplied by the discount factor of the last year, 713. So we kind of think like in year 5, basically what's happening is we're going to realize 442,000. We're going to get that coming in the door that day in terms of cash flow. Our business is going to bring in 442,000, and then we're going to turn around at the same moment we get this 442,000. We're going to sell the company for 9 million. That's kind of the assumption what we're doing here, or we're just valuing the company at that time at worth $9 million. Okay, so now I had all this. I need to delete all this. Okay, my apologies because I want to go through all this work. Okay, so what I want to do is then here I'm going to sum up the present value of my horizon cash flows. That's the 5-year horizon. So that's just simply going to be equals sum of these discounted free cash flow numbers. That's the sum of the present values. Okay, and I'm also going to here simply, and it kind of seems to know it, I'm going to hit equals this number here, the discounted terminal value. So that's I've got the present value sum of the horizon cash flows plus the present value of the terminal value. You can see that 6.4 million number is the same as that number there. I'm just linking that number there. And so the enterprise value, the total value of the discounted free cash flow is simply going to be the present value of the horizon plus the terminal. 7,918,000 and change. Okay, now let me delete this real quick here. So this is the value of the firm that can be distributed to both the debt holders, including any banks that have lent money, and also the equity holders. If I want to value this as, what's the value to the stockholders? Now I need to strip out net debt. So let's say that this firm has $1.2 million in net debt. That's both short-term debt and long-term debt. I could find that data on the balance sheet if it's a publicly traded company. I could also find out how much cash the company has. The difference between these two is the net debt. It's effectively how indebted the firm is. Yes, it owes $1.2 million, but that's cushioned by the fact that it also happens to have $55,000 in the bank today in cash. So the net value of debt is simply this number minus 55,000. Okay, so basically the equity holders get the enterprise value minus net debt. They got to pay off the debt holders. It's kind of like when you buy a house, you take out a mortgage, and if you want to sell that house 5 years later, you still got to pay back the bank, and then you get to keep the difference. That's kind of what we're trying to figure out here. So the equity value is simply the enterprise value minus the net debt. Now, in a true DCF, there's usually another line here that you need to subtract out called the amount of non-controlling interest. I'm not getting into that number today, but just note that for larger companies, they might have that, and you might need to subtract that number out as well. All right, now let's assume you look up and there's 15,000 shares outstanding. The equity value is 6.7 million. So this is kind of your estimate of the market capitalization of this firm. Divide by the shares outstanding, and that's going to give me my estimated price. This number divided by this number is going to be my estimated price. And I'm estimating that this stock should trade at 451 and change. Now, a couple things. First of all, I might be wrong, right? Let's say I look up and this stock is actually trading at, I don't know, 390. So I assume, wow, I think it's worth a lot more. This stock is a buy. Well, I might have made some mistakes along the way. Maybe I was too generous on my cost of capital. Maybe it should be some number like, I don't know, 8%. So let's change it to 8%. So I'm doing sensitivity analysis now. And if I change it to 8%, all of a sudden my stock price is down to 361. Right? That's good to know, right? Because that's not really a huge difference between 7 and 8, and I get a big swing in the value of the company. Maybe I overestimated or underestimated my terminal growth rate, the tax rate. Probably that's more solid because we can look at what tax rates are and use those numbers. look at their history of what they've been paying. But sensitivity analysis, and you can also create tables and do what if analysis. I'll do that in a separate video where you can have a matrix of different values based on different, say, weighted average cost of capitals and different terminal growth rates. So you could create a matrix of those. But that's the general gist of doing a discounted cash flow analysis. Clearly, coming up with this table takes a lot more work, so I'll do that in a different video. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up or subscribe down at the bottom lower right of your laptop, and because this is where I make finance fun for students. So thank you.